Pisces, welcome to your reading. Pisces, in January 2022, North Node and South Node will change signs. When nodes change sign, the eclipses and the focus of those eclipses changes direction. We will find that we will be transitioning from now to early part of 2022 from a focus on your critical axis of evolving out of an old career path and evolving into a new personal direction, new family structure, new place of living, to now moving forward to an expansive direction when it comes to your communication skills, your commercial skills, and your connection. This is a transition which is happening away from the critical changes that were happening for the last 2 years in your life to now start actualizing those changes and bringing them to a large set of people in form of you contributing more socially as well as getting more connected with people. This transition, along with Pluto in your house of networks, normally brings us out to a large set of people in a very influential position. It gives us the power to influence people through our skill set and also gives us the grounding to actually commercialize our skill set. The focus moves away from emotional grounding, career changes, letting go an old phase in our career, to now start commercializing our skill set as well as connecting with the right set of people. We'll talk about this long-term change that is happening and also talk about the short-term themes which might be in process right now, which have to do with your finances. My name is Charu. I'm your host on this journey. Let's dig in. Pisces, the focus right now for the short term could be on your finances. Over the course of last 3 weeks, there might be a lot of focus on your joint finances or the proceeds of partnership. It could be business proceeds or partnership, which could be in form of finances. It could be loans. It could be sponsorship. It could be taxes. It could be inheritance in personal matters, or it could be debt in personal relationship. That might have been a matter of reconsideration, and you might be resetting the equation when it comes to your joint matters. How much do you stand up for your own well-being in a joint matter might be under a rebirth for the last couple of weeks, and we are resetting that equation for the long term right now. And you'll find that now that Mercury is going direct on 18th of October, we are ready to change this equation on how we share power, how we share resources, how we share our body and our soul with another. This is also a very important detox time in my view. There could be some amount of expenses that might be leaving your life, or some drain on your resource needs to leave your life, because the way you're proceeding forward, the kind of vision that you have of gains and social influence in your life requires something or someone to be detoxed out of your life. And over the course of next 2 weeks, now that Mercury is going direct, you would be going live with that detox. This is especially true if you have planets around 12th degree of Pisces, which is around 4th of March born. It could be a health ailment, a healing related detox that you need to do, or it could be an addiction, a ailment, a food addiction that needs to be detoxed out of your life. Normally it's a relationship issue or a karmic tie to somebody that needs to be finally released because it's hurting you way too much to be in that connection. This can be a very empowering cycle where something that has been blocking your self-expression when it comes to joint matters, or when something has been blocking your drive to go after your true returns, might be getting unplugged and removed from your life. And what is revealed is true sheer power, and we come out through a phoenix moment towards a very adventurous part of your chart, which will come to life with the 4th of November new moon. 4th of November new moon is a very impulsive new moon. This is a new moon where you might be taking a leap of faith, but before you can take a leap of faith, there is something that you need to weed out of your life. This leap of faith would be driven by you wanting to do something more expansive. It could be a travel, it could be publication, it could be you deciding to publish something, decide to go out and finally share your knowledge, or go in for a relationship which is foreign in nature, go for a foreign assignment, for legalization. This is an expansive step that you're taking, which is driven out of the sheer need to do something more in your life. And it is just the start of it, because you're going to have eclipses for the next 2 years in this part of your chart, where travel, communication, expansion, knowledge, shifting to a more expansive part of of your life where you're letting your philosophy shift. If your old philosophy had become stale and it was blocking you from taking some risk in life, from taking certain leaps in life, now over the course of next 2 years, we're going to let go some inhibition that was blocking us from taking a leap of faith. The 4th of November new moon is very much a leap of faith, and it is an impulsive leap of faith. It is coming after you straightening out something related to finances over the course of next 2 weeks, which will require you to push something against your old patterns. It will require you to stand up for yourself, possibly to a very difficult crowd. It could be you finally going ahead and speaking up when it comes to large network of people. You'll be coming out of your inhibition to stand up for your talents, to stand up for your self-worth. And you'll find that over the course of next 2 weeks, that is the focus. We have a full moon on 20th of October, which will urge you to stand up for your talents, to go after your true worth. There could be a renegotiation which is of financial nature, which you have been rethinking behind the scene for the last couple of weeks, and now you finally will go after it. This could be a new financial contract that you were working on. There could be an expense that you need to finally now remove out of your life. Something that was draining your talents, your finances, your self-worth, your net worth now needs to be removed out of your life, and the focus will be next 2 weeks to do that. You might also be evaluating what is the true value of your existing talents, and if the existing talents are not corroborating to where you need to go when it comes to returns, what kind of gains you want in life. If your current talents, they don't have that kind of social value, you'll look to upgrade your talents, and the next 2 years are the best time to upgrade your skill set. You will gain enormous amount of commercial skill set through a very steep learning curve over the course of next 2 years, and you'll find the first example of that in November itself, when we have the first eclipse on 19th of November in your house of communication and commercial skill set. This can bring a very fated person or a communication or a contract in your life which is of nature that you had not imagined before. This can be very unique in nature. It could be a contract which is very unique. It could be a person who's very unique, or it can bring an opportunity to give birth to a communication project which is very unique in itself. It can be very untraditional. You're moving away from traditions when it comes to your communication style, as well as the skill set that you'll use for self-made wealth and for commercialization over the course of next 2 years are going to be very different from what you have used before. You're moving ahead of curve now. This is not just new for you. It is ahead of time in some ways, and you'll find that you'll have to go on a very steep learning curve to get there. And 19th of November eclipse is just the start of it. This process, in my view, will truly start from January or February of 2022, but right now you might get an indication that you need to give birth to a commercial project, and you need to give way to, it's like emptying an old knowledge and giving way to a new set of knowledge that you need to acquire, which might require you to take a formal course to get there. 19th of November full moon will most influence around 27 degree of Pisces. It is in positive aspect with you, which is around 17th of March born Pisces sun will feel it the most. 3 days before, 3 days after 17th of March, 3 degrees before and after 27 degree of Pisces will experience the 19th of November full moon the most, which requires you to deliver a communication project, a sale, a commercial project, and give birth to a new style of communication or a new skill set altogether, which might require you to take a formal course of some sort or ramp up your knowledge on a very short notice to deliver that. This can also bring a very influential connection in your life, which can be very fated in nature, which can bring huge change when it comes to your self-made wealth as well as your commercialization of your skill set. This person can teach you or connect you with the right set of people which can help you in commercialization of your skill set. Before we can get to that adventurous part of your chart in November though, you'll have to face some amount of restructuring when it comes to how you reach out to the network of people, or who are your network and who's your tribe. And that will become very evident in my view with the 20th of October full moon. There could be an issue that can be highlighted to you around 20th of October 22nd of October, that week, the second half of October, all the way till 1st of November, which will show you that the kind of revenue, resources, finances, or the kind of returns and satisfaction from your talents you're looking for might require you to change either the social network that you're part of, or you might need to change your approach to social media, or you might need to change your connections in some way. This is being highlighted as there might be a conflict that can come to focus. The conflict could be either with a friend, or it could be with somebody on internet. It could be with somebody who's your audience or your fan, and you'll find that the return to your efforts is not corroborative to where you want to go. The social goals or the higher vision that you have requires you to shift the way you're going after your goals, which means that we need the right kind of connections to get the kind of returns we are looking for. We might need to change our sources of income also because they are not in line with where we want to go anymore. Pluto now is in your house of vision. It is shifting the kind of long-term vision you have in your life. And we are now in the last 2 years of Pluto in your house of social influence and vision. So your vision is going through a rebirth right now. Now, as our vision is going through a rebirth, our sources of income need to change along with that. So you'll find that they're not just the sources of income, but also your talents need to be changed to match the kind of social ambition you have. And the next 2 years, Pisces, as those are the last 2 years that Pluto will be in your house of social influence, we'll have to evolve our skill set to match the kind of social contribution we want to make. Pluto has been in your house of social vision since 2008. It has evolved who you want to be when it comes to the collective, how you want to contribute to the collective, what kind of legacy you want to leave behind, what kind of evolution you as an individual want to bring about to the collective. That has gone through dramatic changes over the course of last couple of years, depending on when Pluto was aspecting your degrees. Pluto is right now at 24 degree. It's influencing 24 degree of Pisces the most, which is around 12th of March born Pisces sun. Pluto takes 2.5 years to evolve our long-term goals, our networks, our friendships, our connections, as well as our social vision. So many of you have already gone through that phase of evolution in your vision, but now the next 2 years, we have to ground that vision and give physical form to it. Then that issue, that this is great to have that kind of drive within yourself to deliver something, but we need to create some sort of grounding for this idealism as well. That will, in my view, get very staunchly highlighted with this conflict of 22nd of October and 1st of November. This conflict can be with somebody in your network or a friend. It can be an ego conflict with somebody, but it will highlight this pattern within yourself, which will force you to ground your idealistic vision in some realistic form. For example, if you have a vision for gainfulness, for the kind of rewards you want, the kind of social influence and recognition you want, but our talents and the way we stand up for our talents are not corroborative to that, you'll find yourself in a position where you're forced to change your skill set, your talents, or the way you stand up for your worth with another. Because we can only be rated by others in the way that we rate our skill set. So if the issue is our own value that we lay on our skill set not being enough, you'll find that will get very clearly seen, that we are not valuing ourselves in the right connections, and that is not helping us make the right kind of social impact that we're looking for making. It's possible that you may not have the kind of connections right now, the network connections that are needed to create the kind of returns you are looking for. Sometimes the group that we are working with, whether it is our network partners, or it is our partners in business, or it's the audience we are addressing, they are not where we want to be. We want to evolve out of that audience. We want to evolve out of that network because our vision has changed. That, in my view, will get very clearly highlighted through that conflict of 22nd of October and 1st of November. Sometimes it's a connection with a friend which gets highlighted that it has outlived its it's time and you need to evolve out of that relationship. And this is not something that you're alien to, because Pluto has been evolving you out of partnerships that you've outgrown for a very long time, because you're being evolved into a very different set of group who will bring about some social evolution. So the old connections which are not where your vision is, they need to evolve out of your life. In my view, over the course of next 2 weeks, you'll see it very clearly where the gap is between your talents and your networks, as well as the returns and the kind of connections you have right now. And you'll need to bridge that gap by making changes in your connections, in your network, in how you reach out to people, what your social media approach is, as well as how powerfully you reach out to people, how much worth you place on your skill set when you reach out to the connections to make them. I'll talk about the long-term transit which you are experiencing since 2008, which you'll continue to experience till January of 2024, which is Pluto in your house of group affiliations. Pluto has been in your house of group affiliation since 2008. It brings about changes in our relationships with the friends, as well as it evolves our social goals, social influence. We undergo transformation which is very public in nature. Our public image, the way set of group of people look at us, and our social visibility goes through a big transformation when Pluto is here, and our group affiliation completely changes when this happens. Very powerful influences come in our life when Pluto is here, because we are meant to evolve through our friendships, through our connections, through our group affiliation. And it can come with some amount of career change. Sometimes it happens through a career change where the group of people that we were working with completely changes because we have changed our life path, which can be true for many of you, especially right now, because you've been having eclipses for the last 2 years in your house of career. So your career might have evolved, and along with that, the people that you work with and the network that you interact with, that itself has changed completely. But for many of us, that happens because something psychological within us changes, and we want to contribute to the collective in a very different fashion. Now, in order for that to happen, there is a set of people with that kind of common goal of social contribution that come together, and they become a very powerful evolutionary group who bring about a change in the society. These are friends and associations who decide to do something transformative when it comes to societal goals, when it comes to bringing something new to the collective, and that is done in a very evolutionary fashion, and being part of that group can transform you from within. This does come through a process of crisis and friendships. Sometimes the friendships are let go, long-term friendships, they are let go, long-term associations are let go, and it can bring some amount of loneliness because we do not relate anymore to the set of people that used to be our tribe, that used to be our people, because our life goals have changed. Our ambitions and our returns that we want out of our life has changed. So the close friends and siblings, in some ways, they are either taken out of our life or they move away in some ways because we have outgrown them. There's normally a falling out that happens with a friend or a sibling as a result of the cycle. There's an intensity that is given to you to be a part of something bigger than you. You want to be a part of something bigger than an individual, a group that evolves the society. You want to be part of that group. But first comes the issue. And that issue normally comes up when Pluto is aspecting your degree. As I said, Pluto is right now aspecting 24 degree of Pisces, which is around 12th of March born. So they must be in the process of first time experiencing it some way, initial experiencing. But many of you have already gone through that process. For the last 4-5 months since April, Pluto was retrograde. So all of this restructuring of your social goals, your social media approach, your social influence, what kind of people you want to network with, which tribe you want to be part of, all of that was an inner restructuring which was happening where your personal goals were evolving. But now that Pluto is going direct, it's time to show that in an external fashion, which means that you would go live with a new tribe. In some ways, you'll make the changes externally now in form of your group associations or in form of your social media approach, or in terms of how you connect with people more powerfully. And in my view, having gone through the transformation you have just gone through in the way you communicate when it comes to joint situation, I think you'll go very boldly when it comes to your group association and your social networking. And it's the time to find your tribe, those groups, those group associations that will become the source of your psychological shift, who are planning to deliver a legacy together. There will be an undercurrent that has always been in your group situation, which can make us almost back off from a group situation. We don't want to be part of a group when that happens, because there's always an undercurrent. Whenever we get associated with a group, somehow an undercurrent or a politics of some sort or a power play of some sort begins. And that undercurrent makes us very much aware of what we want out of the tribe that we want to belong to. Don't play the scapegoat when that happens. A group that is coming across to you is trying to change you. Until we don't find that change within ourselves, where we are being forced in some ways to stand up for ourselves when it comes to a group, where we are trying to stand up for our unique vision in a group, you'll find that those kind of people who will feel repressive, like they're trying to control you in some way, they will keep coming in our consciousness till we learn to stand up for ourselves in a group situation for our unique vision. We can get attracted, we can attract as well as get attracted to very intense set of people, intense friends, intense group association, radical reformation of society aimed kind of groups, people who have radical views about how they want to change the structure of the society, or have radical views about administration, institution, structure, hierarchy in some ways. We can attract those kind of people in our life because you're trying to find the kind of tribe who would evolve the societal structure. So for that, very powerful influences and people come in our life and we join forces with them, but we do feel in some ways undercurrent with those kind of groups and associations as well. And that is a part of evolution that you'll go through, because you will be taught in some ways to stand for your values, to stand for your unique vision in a group situation. And that can only happen when strong personalities come in your life. But that does come with some letting go of old influences. And when Pluto turns direct, as it's doing right now, there's normally a purge of old associations and coming in of new influences, which happens, which you'll experience over the course of next couple of weeks and months, all the way till January or February, in my view. This also helps sharpen our focus on our creativity. If there are talents which were hidden within us, which we were not giving birth to because we were too focused on just commercial job or 9 to 5 in some ways, which was the focus because of eclipses for the last couple of months, you'll find that Pluto digs out some creative values which were hidden within us, and we are forced to own those creative talents and use them for societal benefit in some way. Activism for causes becomes a passion as well sometimes in this. Just make sure that it's not taking the focus away from the purpose of your life. Sometimes we can get lost in a group or get obsessed with a group value, or a set of people going in together sometimes makes us lose our individuality. Just be careful of that. There is deep, profound friendships and group relationships to be found, which will be critical for your change, critical for your evolution. But at the same time, we have to be in some ways protect our individuality and our own creative talents, because they can get lost in trying to be an influencer, trying to influence the masses, trying to be a social media person. Those individual unique skill sets that you have and the unique talents that you have, sometimes they get compromised by trying to be a part of a group or trying to be this powerful force who's evolving a set of people who are listening to you, who are your fans, or who you are addressing through social media platforms. Don't get lost in the crowd, or don't get lost in trying to evolve the crowd and lose your uniqueness, is what I'm trying to say, which can happen with this aspect. We can get very lost in trying to evolve the masses and lose our own individuality. The loss of a friend, which happens in this situation, can be very psychologically transformative to us. Unfortunately, sometimes there is a distance that is put between us and our sibling, or us and our friend, especially the old set of friendships, But that very loss, that very distance can become the source of transformation for us. It makes us dig deeper to find out why do we make that kind of friend? What are our goals and ideals? What is my objective? Sometimes those people are evolved out of your life because your goals have evolved as well. But by being with those friends, the old friends and the old associations, we were not able to grow when it comes to our ideals. We were not able to even figure out what are our individual goals and ideals. Our individual goals and ideals might have got dominated by a groupism or by a set of people that we were part of. Now that you move out of that group association because of a career change or releasing that group, you truly see what your vision is. And now that needs to be given birth to as Pluto goes direct. We are done with the internal reconsideration about what our vision is, what our goal is, what our tribe is. Now is the time to put the structure to life. And you, in some ways, in my view, would be pushed to do that with the changes that are coming in the next couple of weeks. And this push will come with that 22nd of October and the 1st of November conflict that I was talking about, where you'll find that Sun and Pluto are clashing with each other. There is a part of you that would need to be purged for you to have that kind of social influence that you're looking for. The complexes that block us, the powerlessness sometimes in the joint situation, or us trying to make nice when it comes to joint situation, or sometimes some amount of karmic ties that we have been stuck in, which is not letting us evolve out to a new way of being when it comes to a social contribution. That will come to light through a conflict on 22nd of October and 1st of November. We are required to eliminate junk. Some detox is required for realization of hopes and dreams that we have, as well as we need to remove the bias from merging with a new set of people for us to get the kind of social goals that we are looking for. It's possible that the new goals that you have, the new tribe that you need to merge with, you have some bias against that group in some ways that needs to be given up. There's a compromise of power that comes, but the compromise of power is different from compromise of ego. You'll find that you'll have to walk that thin line of being part of a group, yet not losing your self-respect, not losing your power, not losing your voice as you become part of a powerful evolutionary group who brings about a societal change moving forward. In some rare cases, there is a conflict between our goals, our social goals, and what our partner expects out of it. And that conflict can come to focus also with the 22nd of October and 1st of November conflict as well. This is a power struggle which can have an undercurrent with a friend, with a network, with a partner, with a business partner that can come to focus. There can be an actual financial conflict, as I said, which can happen as well. There could be a fight over finances in some ways. This is also your big wealth. So Pluto will urge you to create some sort of structural legacy, which could be a big wealth legacy that you're creating. And in order to create that kind of big wealth, it's possible that some drain on your resources when it comes to your expenses, some person who's a drain on your resources needs to leave your life, needs to be detoxed in some ways, or we need to set the equation correct with them in some ways, and that can come with some amount of intensity towards the end of the month. These are the last 2 years of Pluto in your house of group affiliation and social goals. It is the time to bring your social aspirations to life, whether it is a big wealth idea, whether it is a social media platform, whether it is you reaching out to the right set of people who together with you can make your personal goals come true. It's the time to powerfully connect with people. You'll find that the road to success over the course of next 2 years is to connect with people and come out of a social isolation if you have been in one over the course of last 2 years because of the changes that were happening in your personal life. The social isolation that you might have been in over the course of last 1 year especially could also be because of the Saturn Transit. Apart from the epidemic that we are all under, it could be driven by Saturn in your 12th house. This is a cycle where we are clearing the deck. Saturn is in your house of hidden, in your house of personal reflection, all the way till March 2023. It came here in December 2020. It's the time when we resolve the issues of our subconscious, resolve the issues from the past. We resolve the issues in terms of what holds us back. And in some ways, anything that is our undoing, which can block us from moving forward, we are asked to remove that from our life. And that starts sometimes hurting more than ever. Anything subconscious which was hurting us a little bit, like it could be something in your diet which used to only hurt a little bit earlier. When Saturn is here, it starts hurting more because we are being asked to look at it and remove it for once from our life. You'll also be defining some realistic strategies when it comes to your future as you go into an unknown. When Saturn is in this house, this is the house of preparation. It's almost like you're preparing for something, and Saturn helps you get that period away from the crowd to prepare for something. So it's possible that in 2021 you were preparing for something behind the scene. You were working hard on something behind the scene that was also helped by Jupiter, your ruler, in your hidden house. It normally takes us through a hidden journey or a behind the scene journey where something very expansive is being done behind the scene. But in 2022, Jupiter, your ruler, will come into your sign. So it will become the time of visibility. So we'll come out of a karmic cycle where something was being dealt behind the scenes, especially related to your own complexes, related to your own self-growth, self-exploration, because you're bringing some old chapter to your life to an ending, which might be the process that you were having in 2021 when both Saturn and Jupiter were in your hidden house. They were working on some matter behind the scene. This is very powerful. This can be very motivating because the most inspirational insights, they come during this time when Saturn is in your house of hidden, because it will help you not only explore the issues but also hidden talents which were not being shown so far out in the open. It will help you bring a structure to bring those talents out to large set of people, which will be the process of the next 2 years for you to do, having explored those gems behind the scene in some ways. But it also comes with past being confronted. The last 28 years of your life, it's like you're bringing that to closure with Saturn here, and that can be very isolating. That can be very overwhelming because there's a release which is happening, which is making you free, but it's also pushing you to take responsibility of whatever happened over the course of last 28 years in your life, so you can go and be prepared for the next chapter of your life, which in my view will begin with both of your rulers coming together in April of 2022. This is a new cycle that is beginning for you, and you might be preparing for that. Saturn was retrograde over the course of last couple of months, so you might have been working on something behind the scene when it comes to clearing the deck. This could even be a project of spiritual or creative nature, or some hidden talent you have discovered about yourself which you were working on behind the scene over the course of last couple of months. Now that both Saturn and Jupiter are going direct, forward movement on those projects will be visible as well. But January onwards is when your ruler Jupiter comes in your sign. I think the external expansion will only begin in 2022 in my view. But because of Saturn staying in your house of hidden till March of 2023, you will always have periods when you'll need some isolation. You'll need time away from the crowd, even though these eclipses will bring you into connections, into networks. You will need that period to purge some patterns out of your life, which Saturn will force you to do, because this is a time when we cultivate faith through purging the old cycle of your life, and that might require some amount of confinement or loneliness or alone time to re-evaluate your future or work on things behind the scene. And Saturn will continue to require that time behind the scene occasionally to either deal with our own demons or even do certain things without the hope of returns. There could even be a karmic duty that you might still be carrying on. It's like we are paying some amount of karmic debt, which in my view will continue behind the scene till March of 2023. If you have an obligation to your ancestors in some ways, or obligation to somebody which is a karmic debt in some ways, you might continue to work on that behind the scene in my view till March of 2023. This is something which is going to help you get rid of anything within you that blocks you. There's a fear, a pattern which is exiting out of your life, but it requires some time. But Jupiter will be here till December of 2021. These are the 2 months going forward when some very important closure can be had. Some very important hidden desire can be actualized by recognizing it. And Jupiter is your ruler. It's going direct now on 18th of October as well. So if you have been working on some expansion behind the scene, you'll find that that starts moving ahead over the course of next 2 months as well. Some sort of secret intimacy that has been going on behind the scene, you might find that the support for that can come through, or it could be a critical project, a philanthropy project or a creative project that you were working on behind the scene, or a futuristic project that was being worked behind the scene. Now you'll find that the progress on that starts happening. I discussed this in detail on what kind of professions, sources of growth, sources of revenues that could possibly come through this, because Saturn and Jupiter in 2021 for the first time are together since 300 years, and they will define your source of next 20 years of growth. I discussed that for your sign at the start of 2021. I'll leave the link to that in the description and at the end of this video, so you can access that to look at how you can benefit from this cycle, from this project possibly that you're working on behind the scene, or a spiritual or a creative initiation that you were working on behind the scene in 2021 for the next 20 years, because it can become a part of your material growth for the next 20 years. But I would definitely use the Jupiter cycle for the next 2 months, because Jupiter is here for the last time over the course of next 12 years in your house of hidden. I would use that to successfully close certain chapters of my life, and also for my spiritual growth. If there's a faith practice that we needed, that we were working on behind the scene, it's the time to put that into action. Jupiter supports getting rid of an old cycle, getting rid of a fear or an inhibition or a past that you have been carrying around like a burden. It helps to get rid of that, to create more peace, more harmony within yourself, so you can take the expansive role that is coming for you, so you can take the new beginnings that are coming for you socially in 2022 and 2023. There is also one last eclipse that is happening on 4th of December in your house of career at around 12 degree. It will definitely impact, in my view, around 12 degree of Pisces, which is around 3rd of March on Pisces Sun. This is a Sagittarius eclipse which is happening on 4th of December, which is happening in your house of career. There might be an old career that is being released, and a new path, a new life path is found for specifically around 12 degree of Pisces, which is around 4th of March born, which can be very important. It can come with some amount of selflessness, like we have to do it with no expectation of returns in some way. It's a life path that we have chosen which is elevated in some ways that you might be pursuing. As I said, this is especially true for around 12 degree of Pisces, which is around 4th of March born, 4 days before, 4 days after, 3 days before, 3 days after 4th of March, 3 degrees before and after 12 degree of Pisces. So that's what I have for you, Pisces. Hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next reading now. Thank you.